It's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the ADK Rock and Metal channel today, and we are going to be checking out the band Carcass, and the song is Heartwork. It's an old song. It's one I don't know.
Classic.
Now, it may not be the best one to pick for them, but unfortunately, if you want to look at videos, Doom bands don't do a lot of music videos.
Carcass are a Doom band. Good news.
What are they?
So they invented the genre of gore grind, and then they invented the genre of melodic death metal. So they are a band that have invented two genres in their career. Very impressive.
And Heartwork was off the
1993 masterpiece album of the same name.
So that's what I remember. So I always remember this album being referred to as just the masterpiece album. So that's the only reason, partly, why I pulled it. Because I was like, well, I don't know this band very much. But I'm sure I have. There is at least one song I've heard of that came
Probably
out of a
will
compilation.
be this or No Love Lost.
Something off one of the compilations I
No
heard.
Love Lost, probably.
But yeah, it'll be interesting for me to check this one out. And you guys already know it. So yeah, let's do it.
Love this song.
Oh, you could have chosen a different one. Oh, what one?
This is unbelievable song. This is like shredded record, yeah. The old Swedish mellow death fans getting from this album. This was controversial, this album when it came out, because it had too much melody. Listen to Splash comes on. Basically, every Swedish death metal band that inserts melody joined from this album. Classic rock. Fucking hell, this is perfection. You know that question, what metal song to show to Alien? I choose this.
It's 1993.
1993. Yeah, you like hard rock, you can actually like that, can't you?
Okay. So this came out in 1993. Not bad.
I think you're pleasantly surprised, aren't you? We want to know your thoughts more than us, because we love this. Go on, tell us more.
I'm just hearing Sepultura's Beneath the Remains.
Surely not.
No.
Did you not hear that guitar melody at the beginning?
Their eyes. It's
Yeah, that was Scorpions when they went into that
there are
guitar
elements,
melody.
but I'm hearing a huge influence by Sepultura.
I would say...
Or probably maybe a Rise there.
I would
but
say that they were more likely to have been an influence on Sepultura.
Yeah.
based on this style at that era, this sounds like an album that came out 4 years prior to this, which would have been a Rise, 1989's.
I think there's too much classic rock in this for it to be compared. It's got the aggression in
It
it.
has got other elements,
And
but
thrash.
if I hear the vocals and they're like, blah, 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 but I'm like, that's fucking max delivery on fucking death metal.
Bear in mind, their debut album was 1987 now. Reek of Putrefaction.
Which
So I don't think that they're...
Sepultura's was 1984, wasn't it?
Yeah, how many people...
Fuck you!
How many people had heard, schizophrenia in 1987? On Conga Metal Records.
There's a lot of good things in here, and obviously it's weird, because I had to ask when it came out, because of in hindsight, because if you hear it now, you're like, this just sounds like loads of other bands. But you've got to remember these are influences on these other bands that we could refer to now, so that's why... But then that's why I thought, well, if it came out in 1993, but I'm hearing bands from pre-this that I've heard that have a lot of the same DNA, the change-ups, etc., which is why Sepultura came to mind, because of when we did things like Arise and Off Beneath the Remains and stuff like that, in Self, I can hear DNA of that in here. Maybe not with there's more lead melody rather than thrash aggression, but all the aggressive elements, the change-ups, I'm hearing from the Sepultura. So that's
Same
where...
here, yeah. Andy, can I just ask, because you lived through, you remember this came out.
Yeah.
How controversial was the change in direction in 1993 when Heartwork came out? Because these were the most extreme metal band in the world for the first 3 albums.
I mean, it wasn't. It was a logical step from necroticism.
Yeah,
I think.
true.
I mean,
There's a lot more technical.
this is not my favourite Carcass album or era. I mean, it's a good album, and there are some legendary tracks. You know, this being one of them. But I was thinking, Dave, you're right. These videos are few and far between. Then I thought you could have picked Incarnate Solvent Abuse from the previous album.
Classic, yeah.
It's not a million miles away from this, but there's a logical progression from the tracks on that album to Heartwork. Sorry, what was the question?
Was there more backlash?
No, I don't.
Do you remember this being controversial?
I don't think so.
Sold out?
Yeah, a little. I mean, if you think about selling out, you need to sort of jump forward to the Swan Song album, which was a major label release and a real departure from. I mean, that is classic rock. The Swan Song album, I absolutely love that album. I prefer that to this, even though it's literally a million miles away from Reek of Putrefaction
and Symphonies of
Sickness.
Yeah.
This is kind of a middle stepping stone between those two sort of Carcass camps, if you want to phrase it like that. But
the first album is unlistenable to most people.
I can't stand it. It's terrible.
Gore grind, right? It's very influential. You would never expect a band in 1987 to start incorporating scorpions, in death metal. That's what was so controversial. Now we just call it melodic death metal, and every band in Sweden does it, don't they? But this was controversial at the time. You would never expect classic rock to appear in something as extreme as death metal.
It's progressive. It's progressive in this, isn't it? I'm sure I've read interviews where Jeff Walker said he doesn't want to be a death metal band or a gore grind band. He wants to be a metal band.
Yeah.
And to do that, you need to experiment. You need to take chances. You need to take risks. You need to bring in different elements. And you've identified the Scorpions, which is probably a good reflection of what the type of guitar melodies that they're trying to incorporate and guitar playing. I mean, I've had a look at some of the Carcass songs. The tablatures and the what are they called?
Yeah, the tab books.
Tabs, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
It's so technical.
You wouldn't even attempt it, unless you're really, really good on guitar. They're fantastic riffs and everything, and really technical. But as I say, it's a million miles away from the shit that was on Reek of Putrefaction.
That's not their fault. The production's just awful. It wasn't intentional, but it became an influential album. But yeah, Dave, like Soilwork, In Flames, At the Gates, there'd be nothing without this album.
Okay.
Without this band.
Let's right to the end.
Yeah, you're right actually about the Settle too. You put them on the same bill, wouldn't you, in 1993? That's not,
But 1993, Roots the Jam.
I know, KSAD. Didn't KSAD, wasn't it?
KSAD was 1991.
No, it's 93, Arises 91. Yeah, Beneath the 1989.
But by this point, Chaos Sepultura had gotten softer.
Oh no, they're still home, they're just not that bad. See, that is... No one was doing that in death metal. Not even Chuck Schuldiner was doing that, was he, in 93.
See, nowadays, though, it doesn't sound out of place.
No, not at all.
You almost expect
Yeah. The guitar phrasing is just superb. To me, I call this the Black Album of death metal. You know what Metallica's Black Album is, The Thrash. That's what this
I also think they're interesting that their warehouse, the way they shot the warehouse, seeing them all play, is very reminiscent of Paradise 1.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I thought that.
Because of the colour scheme.
And the head banging and the long shots. And
They've got this purpley blue light.
Mention that at the end, I agree.
The shots there. Very of James Hetfield.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate my records, but...
Would you have a guess which city in England these are from?
Sheffield.
I'll give you 5 guesses.
Leicester.
Okay, that's 2. So maybe
Coventry.
Close to the northwest of England. You're thinking as a southerner, where's the northwest of England? Where I'm from, near there. Thinking one of the major cities.
Hull.
Fuck off. Oh, you're trying to be offensive. I'm not from near there.
No.
2 major football clubs. Which of the cities are you from?
Sunderland.
Fucking hell, you don't know anywhere in the north. Are you trying to piss me off?
Watford.
Right, Liverpool or Manchester, I'm basically trying to whittle down for you. Which one are you from?
Manchester.
Liverpool.
Well, I did well.
You really don't know your fucking typical Southerner. You don't know your geography.
Yeah, literally anything north of Watford.
Yeah,
is
but
north.
most people just say Manchester. You would have been me. I was like, no, the other one. Like, oh, Liverpool. Oh,
Is that from north?
I know, but okay. You got any like? Sorry, I'm distracted from the song. There's some guitar demagoguery going on here, isn't there?
Doesn't like Michael Amott though.
No, it doesn't. I don't think it's in. He had problems with visas. Now, listen to that.
He was on the album though, wasn't he?
Yeah. You want an example of
Okay,
10 out
there we
of
go.
10 out,
Carcass and Heartwork. Okay, so we all kind of agreed that actually there was some videography elements of very similar to Metallica's One from the lighting, from some of the camera angles. Probably not intentional, but they probably use it as a reference point to try to capture some of those angles, etc.
The slow mo with the hair blowing, head banging. I've seen that before.
That lighting. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really odd having not had the nostalgia element of growing up and hearing this at the time to hear back on this 30 odd years later, and you go, well, this sounds like loads of bands now. But at the time, as you guys were saying, that no one was really doing this. No one was blending that elements of the death metal with the speed, but also with the melody of classic metal. So yeah, it's interesting to see. I'm not a big fan of it because of the vocal delivery doesn't stand well for me. It's just not my sort of stuff. There's no articulation.
I'd hate that if Jeff Walker went more melodic. I mean, even on the Swan Song album, which is, you know, very classic hard rock in my opinion, he's still got that same vocal delivery, and it works. It works on that album, and I think works on this material as well.
I just don't think he's a very good vocalist.
And it works on, you know, the gore grind of crepitating bowel erosion and.
But I hear it.
Them great early tracks.
But if you, I don't have a problem with like deaf vocals because I like John Tardy.
He's unique.
But
He's got great vocal delivery. I like his heavy stuff.
That was deaf metal vocals, but it was you could hear the lyrics. It wasn't incomprehensible. You could hear the words, couldn't you?
It just wasn't.
Just not your style.
It just didn't like the vocals. There was nothing about it that made me go, oh, they're interesting, or there's any sort of tonality or warmth to it. It was just.
See, I like that because
So do I.
When I hear Max do it, on the earlier sort of stuff, it was guttural, it was heavy. When you hear Obituary, it's guttural and it's heavy, but with Carcass, and that's probably why when I have heard a couple of Carcass's songs in my time, I was like, this is just not for me, because vocals are the key things.
See, I like the acerbic tongue vocals that he has, and he's like hissing into the microphone. There's any point you can hear the words. So to me, that's a strong example of death metal vocals. But yeah, it's all at one tone. No, it's all at one tone. So I see where you're coming from. Where that would.
That's very true. That's kind of obvious now. You've raised it, Kirk. There's no. It's very linear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jeff Walker's vocal delivery, whereas, you know, the guys you mentioned, Max Cavalera and John Tardy, there are peaks and troughs in certain parts of their song. But I mean that. You know, Carcass were a groundbreaking band, and that's, you know, in unmistakable sound, either vocally and musically. You instantly recognisable a Carcass track, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I call this the Black Album of death metal. To me, 10 out of 10 album, Heartwork. I don't think it is controversial now. At the time, it was because it was such a radical departure from necroticism. Their great 1991 album, and it was certainly a radical departure from Reeker Putrefaction and Symphonies of Sickness. They've matured, haven't they, the sound, but there's a big focus there on playing like guitar gods. You know, that is a musician song as much as a headbanger song. Listen to the outro though, where you've got those double kick 16th notes or the 8th notes, and then they're all spinning their heads and playing this really fast palm muted riffing. That is music just made for me. As a former guitar player, I remember when I first heard this album, I was blown away because you know that this is the guitar duo are just pushing themselves as far as they can go on this record, and there's not one note wasted.
Really interesting to me. Was there a new drummer on this album?
No, that was Ken Owens, wasn't it?
Yeah.
only from recognising him from the video, but I know he's shortly departed after this.
He had a
one.
stroke, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's still part of the band in a different capacity, you know, because he's so well liked by the fans.
Have you noticed a different drumming style from that material you might have heard? Or?
It was just purely from the video. When I was watching the video, I'm like, so they're all there with their long hair and stuff.
Oh,
he's got his little curtains.
Oh, he always had
I was like, hang on, you look like you're in a boy band.
Yeah, well, that goes back to the beginning. It's the same guy from the very beginning.
Yeah.
That was his
the
look.
right guy.
Yeah.
He refused to grow his hair.
I was like, Jeff Walker had like dreadlocks down to his knees, didn't he, at one point?
Yeah, he did.
And then there's Ken Owen with his
boy band.
band.
You guys.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, the one thing I will say about this, within this category, in this genre, this stands up really well today.
Yeah, definitely.
Certain songs date, unless you're in one of the big bands. So like we listen to Sepultura.
By the way you say that.
Sepultura.
Yeah.
And the stuff from Beneath the Rains and Rise, etc., all stand up really well today still. Not so much with... if you were to put like Schizophrenia and the earlier stuff, you played it, you wouldn't stand up against modern metal. But the songwriting, yes, production, but earlier production. So this production here from 1993 sounds great, and the song structure in the playing sounds great. Not my thing, but and because it doesn't really kind of make me go, wow, this is groundbreaking, because I've heard so much of this
And
in
they've
modern.
influenced all
That I understand
Yeah.
and they influence it, does make a couple of changes. So very interesting from Carcass and Heartwork. Now, if you enjoyed our video today, please do like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.